Is going to be of bear market miner. I will link the video and have you guys go check it out here in just a second. Yeah, I blind liked it. I support creators. What can I say? So he is going to be talking about the most profitable crypto miner in 2025. Is it a CPU, a GPU, or an ASIC? I want to hear his perspective on it. I have my ideas. I'm sure you guys have your ideas as well.
What is up, guys? Chris here, Bear Market Mining. Thanks again for stopping by. So today we're diving into one of the biggest questions for at-home miners in 2025. What is the best type of mining hardware for you and your situation? Should you go with GPUs, CPUs, or ASICs for the best return on investment? The crypto market and profitability is constantly changing, and choosing the right type of hardware could be the difference between making a passive income or wasting your time and money. So today I'm going to break down the pros and cons of all three to help you decide what is the best fit for you. Let's get into it. GPUs have historically been the go-to choice for home miners because of their flexibility, but how do they stack up now? Let's start with a few of the pros of GPU mining. All right, first up, let's talk about diversity. So one of the main reasons GPU mining is so attractive for so many people is the number of different proof of work coins you can mine. So we've got ourselves over here on hashrate.no, and you can see an absolute myriad of different available coins you can mine. We could keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Now, the profits aren't huge at the moment. The markets are down, but the beauty of diversity with GPU mining, if one coin goes down, another one is always there to take its place. So there's generally something you can mine that's profitable at any given.
I don't know that there really is anything profitable at average US energy costs, right? This is taking forever to load. I don't think there is, though. At 15 cents a kilowatt hour, I don't think anything's profitable at all right now.
It just doesn't stop. And at a pretty good electrical rate, there's still cents on the dollar to be made. Not much for now, but with this bull run impending, expect these numbers to get a lot better.
I don't think they'll get that much better. Here's why. I know I'm going to be a downer. But like I've said, there's so many different crypto projects, and everybody that's getting into crypto right now is dumping their money onto the Solana blockchain and buying meme coins.
Next up, let's talk about the resale value you've got with GPUs. So unlike ASICs, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, that often become outdated when newer models come in. We're looking here on eBay at the 3070, which we'll use for a bit of a comparison.
He did use, so he sorted correctly. So very good job here when doing research. Completed listings is what you want to do, and sold listings. If you're just looking at what prices are listed, that's not going to be indicative of what the actual market value for the GPU is.
We're looking at just the recently solds on the 3rd of February, which is when I'm recording this. And as you can see, we scroll down, they're just being sold constantly. So if you were to get into GPU mining and you were thinking about, okay, how could I de-risk and get out if I wanted to, you'd have no issues selling your hardware again. As you can see,
the hard part with selling, it depends on the condition of your equipment, the amount of work you want to put into refurbing it, and how if you know how good a condition you keep the boxes in. There's a lot of factors that play into that. And so it's true that you're going to be able to sell GPUs easier than any other type of mining equipment. Well, CPUs might be the easiest. I don't know. I might say CPUs are the easiest. Yeah, I think CPUs are the easiest to resell.
The people are constantly snapping them up. Gamers, people using them for rendering, you know, desktop PCs, all that sort of stuff. So they have a really
the best resale value right now is going to be any 90 series NVIDIA GPU thanks to AI.
Really great de-risking element to them, GPUs. unsimilar to some of the other things we'll talk about later, like the ASICs, GPUs. You're always going to be able to sell them, especially the 3000 series, the 3070s in particular. Not only are they great for crypto mining, they're also really solid gaming graphics cards.
This is going to stop. I do want to talk about this. So 8GB GPUs are going to basically be completely phased out due to the fact that the amount of textures being loaded into the VRAM and lazy development that's been kind of trending lately means that to get good frame rates on, you know, high quality gaming or high quality textures is going to require more than 8GB of VRAM. I think you really only have like another like generation of 8GB of VRAM. I think it does get basically, I think it gets ousted at some point. That's just my feeling on it. You know, like nobody wants the 4GB GPUs anymore. Like, and that was like a really common thing. And then people just held on to those 4GB way too long. And they're basically trash now. They just sit in a trash bin. Like nobody uses them for gaming either.
You know, for your moderate sort of gamers. Now you're not going to be doing any 4K stuff with the 3070, but look at them right here. They're selling like hotcakes and for a decent price as well. $270. So pretty cheap. 325, 250. If you're looking around, you'll be able to score these all day long.
That blower fan down there for 250 looks pretty good though for mining. Not gonna lie, I like that blower style.
Sort of 250 to 300 bucks, and they're not hard to find. So eBay is going to be your best friend when you're looking at reselling, if you wanted to resell them. But I think it's always good to have a sort of de-risking strategy if you're thinking about getting into crypto mining in 2025, and GPUs definitely offer that. I've bought many, over 100 graphics cards for GPU mining over the years, and I've sold a bunch of them recently for exactly what I paid for them years and years ago after they'd already paid themselves off. So for that regard, a really, really good pro to GPU mining. So GPUs, in my opinion, are a great entry point when it comes to crypto mining, but they do offer some challenges. So let's talk about a few of those now. So probably the biggest issue with GPU mining right now is got to be profitability. So as we can see here back on hashrate.no, yes, we have a ton of different coins to mine, but the profitability is slim to none. So we've entered in a $250 GPU. One GPU, you're going to be making 12 cents profit right now. Retrospectively, that might be a higher number, but in the art of de-risking, that's always something to consider. I mean, look, there are always going to be coins that are going to pump, but how do you know you're mining the right one? So profitability, you know, is a big issue right now.
And I mean, like, the only way to know you're mining the right one is if it's not listed anywhere yet. I mean, that's what I look at when I'm picking a coin. I'm like, is it listed? Okay, I'm not mining it. I know. That's like, it's unintuitive. It's like, okay, well, that's going to be obviously the most risky, because what if it never gets launched or blah, blah, blah. But what I found is like, that's the least risk, is mining things that aren't listed yet, because you have that potential of basically being first to market, which gives you that initial price pump to sell off on an exchange. Because anytime a new coin hits any exchange, even if it's something like ZEGX or whatever, non-KYC, the price initially pumps up off of people that are speculative purchasing it, right?
Let's say you wanted to build yourself an 8-card rig, like many of us over the years, at $250 a GPU, not including the mining motherboard, fans, frames, things like that. You'd be looking at about $1,800 US to make $1 a day right now. So that's a pretty long payback period, 1,800 days. So if you're willing to wait that long, GPU mining could work for you, but let's not kid ourselves here. You're not making a ton of money right now GPU mining. So profitability, probably one of, if not the biggest factors when talking about cons with GPU mining. One of the next biggest challenges when it comes to GPU mining has got to be overclock. So we're over here in Hive OS. We're looking at what we call a flight sheet. So when you're crypto mining, you're going to want to reduce your power. So this means locking your core clock, setting memory clocks, all that sort of stuff, and knowing how to configure flight sheets. So some miners will be simpler than others, but this coin, Cubic, for example, has an external URL which you'd have to find off GitHub. It's got a random pool address, it's got access tokens, all sorts of stuff. It's got all these things down here which even I, to some extent, don't fully understand. So overclocking is going to be a big barrier for beginners. So that's what I think may turn some people off with GPU mining. And last but not least, when it comes to GPU mining, another con I would say for setting them up is got to be cooling. So cards, depending on what algorithms you're mining, are going to want to run hot. This means having knowledge of intakes, exhausts, cooling fans, setting your own fan speeds on.
I've never seen like 300 millimeter fans as an exhaust.
When you're running a lot of fans, things are gonna get noisy. Let's say you want to build an 8-card GPU rig. Say every card has got 2 fans on it. You're at 16 fans spinning there already. If you've got a rig with another 6 fans on it, that's 22 fans spinning. Then you add exhaust fans, you get the drift. So noise and heat are going to be other issues for beginners, as long as overclocking and of course the current profitability. Next up, let's talk about CPU mining. Now, CPU mining is almost seen as the little brother of GPU mining, especially in 2025, although it is getting a lot more notoriety over the last few years. So let's start and look at a few of the really good reasons why CPU mining may be a good option for you. First up, let's talk about initial setup costs. So once again, over here on eBay, we're looking at a Ryzen 3900X. Now this is a very...
I am curious on this comparison. Do you guys think CPUs or GPUs hold their value better?
Common budget.
GPUs, right?
But profitable CPU that many miners have been using for a number of years now. So at about 135 bucks, you know, 140 bucks, 120 bucks, you're going to be getting yourself into CPU mining very, very cheaply. Now, of course, you will need to add a motherboard and a fan to that. Estimate another $100. You're at about the same price for one.
Let me move that real quick. My phone was interfering with the cord.
3070. And now let's look how that cost per dollar compares.
GPU does
$250 US on a 3070. We were making about 12 cents. Over here on hashrate.no, we can see we're making 3 times the price. So very, very cheap, very easy to set up, which we'll talk about in a minute, and 3 times the profit currently. So
I mean, do you know what the actual answer is with CPU mining though? Crypto jacking other people's CPUs. I just steal other people's CPU hash power. Screw buying a CPU, dude.
CPU mining is a really, really good option as far as entry point, current profitability, if you're looking to start crypto mining in 2025. CPU mining rigs are also simpler to build for the most part. They require less components. The cooler is attached to the motherboard itself. That can be set up in the BIOS, which is very, very easy to do as well. I'll actually leave a link above for a card on how to overclock CPU mining rigs if that's something you're interested in. But
yeah, so the best thing I saw recently, who was that? Was it Mine Something or was it let me look at this real quick. Let me see. Here, we'll go to camera so I don't Twitter, because I still type Twitter in. I think it was Mine Something. He found these boards. Was it him? Dude, yeah, okay, right here. So Mine Something found these boards. This makes CPU mining a little bit more interesting. So these are 7945s, so almost 7950s, 16 core, 32 thread. You are going to put laptop memory in it. effectively. But you know, you're getting the motherboard, and you're getting the CPU all in one for under $400, right? And that is, you know, if you're going to go buy like a 39, this would be a way better deal, I think, than buying like a single 3900X and then getting like a B5 or 450 motherboard or whatever, right? Hey, there's mine something. There's a shout out. Make sure you guys go sub to his channel. But this is, he had mentioned this, so I definitely think that's something you might want to take into account. Anyways, so other than that, let's continue on with the video.
Very, very simple to set up, low maintenance, a lot less to consider. Also, looking at the flight sheets for CPU mining.
So I know, so the 3900X doesn't have onboard either, but you can bypass needing graphics to boot up CPU only. So that should be in the BIOS settings. Mine something can probably, oh, mine something says it does have onboard graphics though, so that's not even a worry.
Rigs. As you can see, a lot less going on. So here we have a very standard hash algorithm. There's no real overclocks you need to do in Hive OS.
And yeah, let me link you guys mine something so he gets the Amazon affiliate credit, because I don't want to steal the affiliate credit from him. There you go.
For setting threads, but that doesn't need to be done necessarily either. All of the miners will set their own thread counts manually for you to keep your CPU safe. As I said, it may just be a few BIOS settings that need to be tweaked, which is much easier and much more consistent than overclocking GPU mining rigs. So while CPU mining seems great on paper, low entry point, less overclocks, there are a few other issues, some cons to contend with. So let's talk about that now. Probably the biggest con when it comes to CPU mining has got to be diversity. So on the left here, we've got that 3070 we looked before. And as you can see, we can scroll to the end of days to find coins that are profitable. It just keeps on going. There's hundreds here and probably even more if you were to look elsewhere. Conversely, on our right, our 3900X, our CPU mining rig, as you can see over here on hashrate.no, there are only about 10 or 15 different coins to mine.
Yeah, but what we're missing out here is almost every single spec mine starts on CPU. So there's that.
Meaning that if profitability goes down on one, you have far fewer options to consider when it comes to mining something else. Now, of course, there are some coins that we like to spec mine is the term, which basically means mining a coin early that really has, you know, no future outlook or potential, or it could 100x. So that's a risky play. But as far as diversity, not a ton happening with CPU mining when comparing it to GPU mining. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about the mini ASIC or home ASIC miner. First up, let's talk about one of, if not the biggest pro when it comes to ASIC mining is efficiency. So we're using right here the iPolo V2.
Nah, there's no benefit to ASIC mining. Throw them all in the trash.
2x. It's an ETH hash miner. We're using this for an example. I'm going to compare it.
I really don't like. I feel like ET hash miners are not a good idea at all. I can't really think of an ET hash coin that I would want to hold or be having to liquidate very often. Like, I'd like to say Ethereum Classic's going to make a big comeback and they're going to take over the world and they're going to have a bunch of, but they have all the same problems ETH had, and those didn't go away. And there's just cheaper, faster options now.
2 out 3070. So let's remember these numbers. So if we look right here, we can see one, it's profitable. It's making $1.34 a day, which is reasonable. But more importantly, it's creating 1200 megahash at 165 watts. Now, let's compare that to GPU mining on the same sort of scale. Over here, we've got 20, 30, 70s, which would be around $4,500 or so, creating the same amount of hash rate using 20 times the power and losing money. So efficiency is really, really what has set these ASICs apart and has started moving the crypto mining world in that general direction. I could show you a number of different examples of this across all different algorithms where ASICs have come online and instantly booted GPUs off because they can't compete with the efficiency. So efficiency is always going to be number one when it comes to crypto mining, and that is why I think ASICs have the biggest pro of all to start. Another crucial factor and a really big pro for ASIC mining is the scalability and the output. So
do you think scaling is easier on GPU mining or on ASIC mining? I'm thinking about this. Obviously CPU is the worst. That's the worst scalability. But an ASIC miner to scale, you basically just have to always buy the newer, more efficient hardware. GPUs seem to last 2 to 3 cycles. And you only need one motherboard to run multiple GPUs. I feel like it's easier to scale GPU mining because you can buy multiple GPU, like you can buy one GPU at a time. And they're not that expensive. Whereas like an ASIC, yes, like if you do my ASIC buying strategy with the Bitcoin ASICs and you're buying, you know, $400 S19 Pros or whatever, or $300 to $400 S19 Pros, cool. I think you're good. I think that makes sense. But even then, that's hard to scale. Because from a power perspective, like let's say you buy a $450 GPU, that's not going to take that much power. You buy a $450 ASIC S19, well, there goes an entire 20 amp circuit. Boom, gone. Like it seems like from a home mining perspective, ASIC mining is extremely hard to scale. Plus, whenever you need to upgrade your power, you basically got to go get a damn permit from the city, and you got to get a certified electrician. And if you do it yourself, okay, cool, but like you're gonna decrease the resaleability of your home. You're gonna like, there's a lot of issues that go into that.
This is one of the big boy ETH hash miners, the Jasminer X44P. Is putting out 23,400 megahash
at 2550 watts.
365.
That's a whole circuit.
3070s. So if we were to talk about density, it's not even comparable, right? To fit 365 3070s at your house is going to be almost.
But like, so here's the fundamental problem I have with this argument that he has is he's comparing efficiency of ETH hash that has ASICs on it to GPUs, and that like there are more efficient GPU algorithms now. The efficiency should be put, the weight of the efficiency should be put on the developers of the algorithm, not on the equipment later. Does that make sense? So like you take like Fish Hash, for example, right? Where they worked like they worked on essentially utilization, memory utilization on the GPU, and efficiency. And then that was specifically for GPUs.
Impossible. You'd need them all in server cases. You'd need a dedicated shed outside. It's just not feasible. And let's talk about the profit as well.
400 amps cost you $20,000 Aussie? Jeez, I haven't done one in a while. I swear I only paid like 5 for 800 amps.
You know, $27.91. It's using 2,550
But I haven't looked in a while.
watts.
That was
Let's
back in
compare that to
21.
365 3070s, and I think you know how this is going to go. 41,000 watts. So the efficiency, obviously, way.
See, I just like, I'm sorry, this argument doesn't hold. I think this is a flawed. This is flawed. This is a flawed argument or comparison. I think the rest of the video has been amazing.
Better.
But I don't think this is helpful.
So scalability, efficiency, and of course, coming up next, the ease of use is what's going to make the ASIC a much better option in a lot of cases than GPU and CPU mining. The setup for ASIC miners is also so much more simpler. These general box miners often, in most cases, come with power supplies
3 to 5K
installed.
for you, Scott.
They've simply got a power outlet. Most are compatible for 120 or 240 volts. They've got their own overclocks already set, so you don't need to mess around with them. They've got their own mining software set, so a really
The problem is that you're beholden to the ASIC manufacturer or the firmware developer to give you any boost in efficiencies, right? It's getting better on the Bitcoin side, right? Where you have a lot of variability in control board options, firmware, and power supply options to increase efficiency, right? Like you have that capability, but on like you know, a random ET hash ASIC, you know, you're pretty beholden to them, and if the profitability or the benefit there isn't in it for them to develop that, they're just not going to develop it. It's like even the Bitcoin miners, right? Like I bought a couple S19Is. And the S19Is, since they didn't sell a lot of them and they don't need to get rid of a lot of old stock, they never came out with a low power mode for the S19I. Like, they are really efficient for what they are. But for an S19, but like, it would be really nice if there was a low power option for those like there are on the other ones. And you know, there's no real other option other than at that point to buy like another like control board. But even for those, like the S19i is not a really highly supported one, so you can get into a position where even if you buy like name brand Bitmain ASIC miner, you're limited on the upgradability, which is then obviously limiting your scalability because of that, right?
Easy set and forget option when compared to GPUs and even CPUs. First up, let's talk about the price. Now, while much more profitable than
so you paid for the pole and the transformer?
A lot of this stuff comes with a pretty hefty price. So
you got to work better deals than that, bud.
CryptoMinerBros.com, and you can see some of the.
Yeah, you gotta cut better deals. You gotta work with the power cut, like. And I get it, like, it's easier said than done because basically power companies and co-ops are monopolies at this point, and there's not a lot of competition. Well, like, I'll tell you, like, an example at my last space, when I wanted to upgrade the power, I actually went to all the neighbors next to me, which were like industrial shops and stuff like that. And I talked to the landlord and I was like, look, everybody needs more power, right? So can we get that? And they got it done. Now, the big problem, of course, is like I wanted to stay there, but the power cost just went through the roof. They even had 3-phase ready to go for me. But then the power company, you know, shot that rate, quadrupled it. It was insane. It was insane. And I felt really bad too, because I had like been, like I was telling that, like, luckily having three phase there, they were able to rent all those units out really easy because there's a lot of like shops that need it, and they were like one of the only places that had it. But the original intention was like I was going to move in and take one of the three phase units from them, and that's why they originally built them. And it took like 3 years to build it, and unfortunately at that point it was like, I can't even get in, you know.
These units are going to run you an absolute mozza. Now, still probably better bang
That
for
power
buck
rate
when
is what mine
GPU
used to
mining
be,
and
Aussie.
CPU mining,
I wish I had that
profitability,
still.
ROI, and all those sorts of things. But you really have to have a high risk appetite to get into some of these. You know, we can see the S21.
Can you tell us where you're located? You don't have to. Obviously, I don't suggest doxing yourself, but
XP Plus, it's 13,000 US dollars. The Volk miner D1, that's a Dogecoin miner or a script miner, 7,000 US dollars. So definitely a lot of risk when considering buying some of these more expensive miners. You can of course buy your more moderate sort of miners, your cheaper ones, but the rewards will be reflected. You've got to sort of be in it to win it with ASIC mining. You've got to spend big to make big in most cases.
Well, and the problem is your competition is so much higher too, right? The types of people that are making these types of investments are making those types of investments in like their power, right? Like Aussie did, you know? And so like I don't know, well, your competition from a capital perspective is much more significant on ASIC mining.
The second issue with ASIC mining is while they're easier to set up, troubleshooting can often be.
Yeah, so loudest, my power at the peak, it went up to 18 cents a kilowatt hour. When I signed my lease, and I talked about a lot of this before, because basically I learned a lot of tough lessons, like your purchase power agreements don't really mean shit because they can just tack on fees, right? What they did to me was tack on recovery fees, which I still had the same electric rate, but my fees were so high, and the fees were based on power usage. So it was basically, it was, dude, like, sometimes I really dislike people when they do shit like that to you. But yeah, I was at 4.5 cents a kilowatt hour in the winter and 5.5 cents in the summer. And then it went up to like 18 cents with fees and everything in the summer, and then 16 cents in the winter. Eventually it did come back down to about 9 to 10 cents a kilowatt hour. But like just for once my lease was up, I was like, I clearly can't trust these people. So I'm not going to sign another 5-year lease. They were saying, you know, I think the power cost did end up coming back down to like 8 cents a kilowatt hour. I could have survived it, you know, that sort of thing. The 3-phase would have brought me a lot more efficiency. But that anxiety of price fluctuation, just, I was like, I'm done.
Be non-existent. You may have something like a hash board that just dies, and there's often no options to fix this at home, meaning you've got to send it away for repair, which can be expensive and can take you offline for months. The last and probably most crucial con to remember when thinking about purchasing an ASIC miner are the diminishing returns. So because these have such a high hash rate and output, when a lot of them get bought, a lot of hash rate comes online, the profitability can drop pretty rapidly. So I'll use myself and as an example. I've got a few of these KS5Ms. Now I bought them here back in June, about the start of June or so. They're making $61. You know, 7 months later, they're barely breaking even.
It would be okay if this was a siloed example and it was just kaspa that did this, but this is like literally every layer 1 ASIC mineable coin that launched here recently, right? Lithium, Radiant, like just go down the list, right? I mean, we can even go back further. Like this is a pattern. Cadena. It's like I said before, you know, this is like California post gold, or like, you know, post discovery of gold. And like the only people making money here are the shovel salesmen. Like if you're going to buy ASICs, this is my humble opinion. If you're going to buy ASICs, buy Bitcoin ASICs and nothing else. That's it.
And now, of course, that has a lot to do with the market manipulation, the current price, but this is...
You could sell me on a script ASIC, okay? Yes, there's caveats. But that's because of the amount of script coins and that crazy Litecoin intern that took over the Twitter account.
Been seen on pretty much every ASIC that has been released since about mid-2024. The diminishing returns are something to consider. The days of being the first to buy the miner guarantees your ROI it's gone. Those days are no longer, so definitely something to remember when considering buying an ASIC miner. So what is the winner? GPU mining offers great diversity, but the profits aren't really there at the moment. CPU mining is a lower entry point and has slightly better current profitability, but less diversity than GPU mining. And ASIC mining, while it has a much higher efficiency and hash rate, going to yield you more coins along with the profitability, there is the risk of diminishing returns and also the risk of, you know, never ROIing, which is the case for all three. So this isn't just ASIC specific. Me personally, my plan for 2025, I've already got a ton of GPUs and CPUs, and I'm slowly growing my ASIC portfolio. So for me personally, the winner would have to be ASIC mining. I think that's the way the market is trending. Everyone's getting into
disagree.
It's set and forget. It's better profitability, but you have to have much more of a risk appetite. So for me, ASIC mining. Let me know, guys, what are you going with? What's your go-to option for crypto mining in 2025? Let me know.
Did he even cover? Because here's the other thing that he didn't cover. Because he covered, you know, eBay prices on CPU and GPU. He didn't cover, like, so the downside that's missed. One, by the way, awesome, great video, bear market miner. On the road to being a good mining YouTuber. I'm just also giving my perspective. But guys, go to the YouTube video, hit the like, tell him Soat sent you. I think he's got some stuff to learn though too. I think, like, so my biggest problem is he didn't go look at the resaleability of ASICs, right? In a bear market, especially as a bear market miner, and making sure you de-risk. He was using that term de-risk. I think not taking into consideration the fact that every new ASIC release makes your ASIC more and more obsolete. It's a paperweight. We've talked about this for years on this channel. It's the biggest downside to ASIC mining. The bear market ASIC mining strategy, to be completely frank, is buy just previous gen Bitcoin miners in the bear market and hold them till the bull run, then sell them, then hold that until you get to the next bear market, buy a bunch of the previous gen. So you're constantly upgrading your hardware and getting rid of yours. And if you miss that one cycle, you're kind of like, you know, up the creek without a paddle. You know, you don't have any way to recover if you mistime it. And that's also why, like, when I talk about like things like the timing of selling my kaspa, yes, in the short term it looked very bad, but in the long run it was much better to have a bunch of ASIC miners for Bitcoin than it was to have the kaspa sitting in my wallet, because I'm generating revenue and the value of my assets are increasing significantly compared to what, you know, they would have been if it was just sitting on kaspa and I was fluctuating like you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a day in volatility. Because at the end of the day, it's a business, you know, and especially considering that, like, if you want to approach it that way, and now we have the new standards for, you know, your assets as it is to what's on your balance sheet. I think you have to take all of that into consideration.
It down in the comments. Let's figure out what the best option is for everyone. That is going to wrap up the video, guys. Hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Oh, did I hear a smoke alarm? Sweet video, dude. I thought I was subscribed. I must have clicked it on accident again. But anyways, subscribed over to Bear Market Miner. Make sure you guys go check him out. Mainly go over and like the video, that sort of thing. I do want to like say that what we've discovered with like the sub bombs that has been happening with Red Panda Mining is he is negatively impacting some of the channels. So let's just be responsible with that. And like, if you're going to like go over there, maybe revisit the channel a couple times, you know, watch a couple videos, or at least watch a full video before hitting the sub. Because there are some things going on with the YouTube algorithm, and we don't want to, in regard to the like sub bombing and all that. So just as like it's like an insider YouTuber thing, I guess, that would notice that. I just don't want to like wreck anybody's channel or their discoverability. So also what can help there is also just clicking that bell. And you can also click that bell for me if you haven't yet. That would be extremely helpful. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. If you would like to see more from this particular episode, take a look up here. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support me directly, you can go to sonofatech.locals.com and become a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.